You are one of the top performers in your organization. You love when your hard work receives compliments. You feel great on your way back to home from work. But that lazy fellow at work in the cubicle next to you seems to be doing pretty well too. You are working your ass off, going above and beyond, and all you get in return is more work. But your lazy fellow coworker has just completed his PUBG game and is getting up for his next refill of coffee from the vending machine. Yet, he seems to be completely insured from any improvement feedback from leadership. Completely untouchable? Yup, we have all been there and we have witnessed such cases. What if I told you it's not the lazy fellow's luck? It's very much a strategy. In this episode, I will unmask the secret strategy of lazy employees mastering the art of doing just enough. Mind you, we aren't going to glorify laziness here. But there is definitely some learnings to discover the more we understand this lazy employee game. Twist in the plot, it's about understanding a smarter, more strategic way to work that can protect you from burnout and actually make your efforts count. Hi, if we haven't met, my name is Amlan Tripathi. 15 years into this corporate jungle, I have been making videos on such topics from my experiences I have lived through all these years. The first chapter. Let's get this one thing straight. It's not lazy, it's strategic. In the context of the workplace, what you think as laziness is actually a highly calculated balancing act of energy management and output. It's not about doing nothing. It's about being ruthlessly efficient and focusing only on what truly moves the needle. Your beloved lazy colleague have already figured out the difference between motion and progress. They know one thing pretty well. Busy isn't the same as being effective. But how have they figured out all of this while you are still driving the momentum in your department? Good question. Let's unlock them in the next chapters. Chapter 2. Meet the minimum, MTM or MVE, minimum viable expectation. These days, it's also known as quiet quitting or work to rule. Surely you know this term MVP or minimum viable product, a functional version of a product released to real users to test the market demand. Similar to MVP is MVE, minimum viable expectation, or MTM, meet the minimum. It's a topmost important industry secret of our lazy fellow coworkers. You as a high achiever probably pride yourself on exceeding expectations on every single task. You have set a benchmark for yourself. Nothing less than A+ quality is acceptable to you. You want that compliment. It makes you smile. It keeps you going. But lazy coworkers, they don't care about any of that. They have figured out the absolute minimum required to satisfy their manager. They have identified which of the tasks need real effort and which are the ones that just needs to be marked as done. For example, if you are spending hours perfecting a report that no one will read that closely, your lazy coworker has figured out that a simple completed high-level report is all that is needed to check the box. They will never waste energy on something that go unnoticed or unrewarded. Lazy fellow will refrain from any activity where the extra effort adds zero recognition. Chapter 3. Effort, arbitrage and strategic visibility is an art. Your lazy fellow coworker does the least amount of work for the maximum amount of credit. And they use something called strategic visibility. It's actually a searchable term on the internet. You may Google it out after this video. It's crazy to think about how much time is spent on tasks just to look busy. Our strategically lazy coworker has absolutely perfected this. They intuitively understand what career theorist Harvey Coleman called the PI model. P for performance, I for image, and E for exposure. According to Coleman's model, your career success is only 10% performance, 30% image, and a whopping 60% exposure. Does that sound relatable? Immediately rings a bell when you try to map this pie to your workplace dynamics. If it did, you are most welcome. So lazy fellows around you go all in on that 90%, the image and the exposure part, not the 10% of performance. They might not be the most productive person at their desk, but you sure know they will turn up for the most important meetings. They will immediately respond to emails from the leadership. They do those office laps, having yap sessions to be seen with people who doesn't even know what their actual job role or description is. Lazy fellow will prioritize tasks that makes him look valuable to the right people, to the decision makers. They successfully manage to create an illusion of exceptionalism. And while all of this is happening, you are stuck doing the actual heavy lifting. And it can't be that a few faces don't pop up in your mind when you are watching this chapter. It definitely has to. Talking about faces popping up, if you have made it till here, please pop that like button. Hope this episode has been helpful to you till here in some form. Please feel free to subscribe. Through this channel, I'm trying to reach out to business and working professionals like you and me, a community of human beings who are trying to make sense of their ambitions and their options in everyday life. I'm also working on a handbook, sort of a companion for those days of hustles and grinds in career. Version 1 should be released in January 2026. If you are watching anytime after that, you should see the link in the description. Make sure to check that out and download your free copy. Now on to chapter 4, lazy fellow exploiting a manager's deepest hesitation. Let's be real. On the other side stands your manager, and they have some calculative brain and observation skills. Then why don't they execute your deepest desire? That is, why don't they just let go of these lazy fellows? See, simply because firing someone is an absolute nightmare. I have been a manager for around 10 years and I know it very closely. Managers will often avoid firing underperformers straight away because of the huge emotional and the psychological cost impacting both sides. Firing someone causes a lot of trauma. Even after a successful separation, the aftermath of an intense firing exercise leaves its mark on the rest of the team's morale. On top of that, firing someone requires a mountain of documentation to avoid legal risks. In many companies, the matrices are vague. Culture of documentation hardly exists. The lazy fellow employee lives within this grey zone where their performance is just good enough to make firing them way more trouble than it's worth. Finally, chapter 5, how to use these secret learnings for your advantage. See, the goal isn't to become another lazy employee, but to get more strategic and to avoid burnout and get the credit for your own impact. Maybe start listing down your own MVEs or MTMs we discussed earlier. Get clarity from your manager on which tasks are truly high priority and which are the ones that just needs to be done. You are yourself smart enough to figure out the tasks that are truly impacting your organization. Question this to yourself. What are those one or two tasks that has a direct correlation to the goals of my top boss? How can I empower him or her right now? Apply the Pareto principle. Direct your energy to the 20% of work that drives 80% of the results. Manage your own visibility. Stop assuming your hard work will speak for itself because in most cases, it won't. Start sending short, concise updates to your manager on your key projects. When you solve a problem or score a win, make sure the right people are aware of it. Finally, you are a high performer, but be a little self-compassionate. It's perfectly okay to just do good enough on the low priority task in form of self-preservation. It just frees up your mental and your emotional energy for the work that truly matters and some space for your life outside the office too. The secret of the lazy fellow employee isn't just about avoiding work. It's about a surgical, strategic application of efforts. They mastered the minimum, they perform for visibility, and they understand the human dynamics that keeps them safe. By learning from their playbook, you can stop just working hard and start working smart, making sure your energy is protected and your impact is finally seen. See you in one of these. Bye.